Guys, welcome back to my channel. On today's tutorial I'll be talking on how to make a long gown with side ruffles. I'll be talking on how to make this gown using this piece of fabric. This is a crepe fabric. I have 3.5 years of crepe fabrics here, my tape and my zip. Fold my fabric into two as usual. All right, then I placed my tape. So I'll be marking half for my half length. Let's assume the full length of my dress is 60. Like now I have the full length of my dress to be 63. So I'll be removing my half length. Then I'm going to be marking my skirt length on it. So when I remove my half length, I have from minus 18 to the full length. So to the end of that fabric. That's what I'll be working on. So now at 18 inches is going to be my start point. Alright, and that is where my waist measurement is also going to be. So from that point I'm going to be marking 9 inches down. The 9 inches, this is where my hip line is going to be, my round hip measurement will be. Okay, so now I'm going to be inserting my round measurement. So my hip is 38 inches. When I divide the quarter of it, I'm having 9.5 plus 2 inches. Alright, so whatever you have, you mark it. So this is what I have here. Then my waist is 29. I'll still mark the quarter of it on my waist measurement. Plus extra 2 inches seam allowance. Then I'll go ahead and connect them together. So this, I'm connecting this to connecting it to my waist. Then from my waist, I'm going to connect it down to the bottom part of the skirt. So I'll go ahead and cut this out. So from here I'm going to, after I'm done cutting out the front piece, what I did was to place it on top of a new fabric which I folded into two. Now from here to here I gave 2 inches zip allowance. That is for my zip and for my slit, back slit. So now I'll go ahead and cut this out. But before then, this zip area, this upper part of my skirt, what I'm going to do is from this up part, I'm going to take to 10 inches. I'm going to mark my 10 inches. Right? Then coming to this point, this start point, I'll be marking some inches. Let me say half an inch or 0.75 inches or 1 inch, depending on how you want it to be. This is to control the zip bulge. That's why I need this. So from here now I'm going to connect it to this point. I did this in order to control my zip bulge. So I'll go ahead and cut this off. So if I'm done with that one, I'll go ahead and cut this off. And once we have it open here. I'll go ahead and trim it down to the end. So now for the upper part of my top, what I did was I folded my fabric into two as usual. Then I placed my tape to my half length. This is my tape now from 1 to my half length. Then I'm going to be offing it by 5 inches. I'm going to be minusing 5 inches from the upper part. Alright, so this is my 5 inches. Then I'll go ahead and mark my chest line. This is my chest line. This is my waistline. This is my under bust line. The another thing is my nipple points on my bust line. Okay, so this is my the off shoulder I'm taking off, -5. This is my chest line, my bust line, my under bust, and my waistline, though the under bust is not really necessary. All right, so the next thing I'm going to be marking now is how wide do I want my neck area to be. So I'm working with 5 inches width. I'm going to mark my 5 inches here. This is my 5 inches. Then I'm going to come to my chest line and then start my bust measurement. This is my bust line. Then I'll be adding extra 2 inches for my seam allowance. Then coming to my waistline, I also do the same thing. I'll put quarter of my waist measurement plus extra 2 inches for seam allowance. After which I'll connect it together. So I'm connecting my waist to my bust to my chest line. Then for my neck width now, I'm going to be connecting it from here, and I'm going to be connecting it to this area to form my armhole measurements. So this is what I have. So when I'm done with this, I'll go ahead and cut this out. So after cutting this out, I'll be using it to cut out my back piece. So this is what I have for my front. I'll go ahead and use this to cut out my back. So for my back now, what I have to do is just to place it on top of the folded fabric, which is 2. Please observe your zipper allowance. There's going to be a zip, so please you have to put it into consideration. So I also go ahead and cut it out. I'm going to be cutting the neck area for the front. Alright, so I'm going to be marking 1/4 inch or 0.75 inches down. I just want to have a little curve. So from here, I'm going to connect it to this point. Alright, just to make it curvy. So it will not be like on a plain fold, just like that. So this is what I have. So I'll go ahead and cut out a facing. So now I went ahead to, this is my facing. Alright, so I went ahead to join it to the neck area. So now I'm going to be ironing it. That's what I'm doing for the front piece. I'm going to iron it down. Alright, then I'm going to be picking up my hemming gum. So this is a hemming gum. I'll be using it to tape it down so it will lap very well. So now, after joining the facing, this is what I have. So I went ahead to join the upper part to the skirt part of it. Alright, then another thing I did was to fold the bottom part of my skirt. Alright, so now I'm going to be marking where my zip allowance is going to be. I want to attach my zip first before going ahead to work on the other part of the dress. Now, from my waistline here, I'm going to be marking 10 inches. That is where my zip is going to be, 9 or 10 inches. That's where I want my zip to stop. Or better still, I'm going to get my zip. I'm going to bring my zip and place it and know where it's going to stop. So at 10 inches from the waistline is okay. So now the next thing again I'm going to do after, so my zip is going to stop here. Okay, so another thing we'll talk on is where we want the slit opening, because it's going to be having an opening at the back. So I'm going to pick my tape from the bottom part. I'm going to start and mark 21 inches. So at 21 inches, this is where my slit will start. This is where I'm going to have an opening, and this is where my zip is going to stop. So from here to here it will be closed, then from here to here it will be open. So I'm going to go ahead to my sewing machine and stitch on it. Then I'll fold in this area. All right, stay tuned. So now the next thing we're going to be cutting out is our sleeve. All right, so now the sleeve I used, the volume of the material I used was 1 yard, that's 6 inches. Then the length is 22 inches. Then I folded the bottom part and the upper part of the sleeve. So now I want to cover out my off shoulder sleeve area here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, this is part of the back piece of my dress. You can still use the front piece, so I'll just place it on top and trace it out. Okay, so I've traced it out. This is what I have. Now the elastic that is going to be on the upper part of this dress, that's this upper side. Now I'm going to be using 7 inches for it, while the down part I'll be using 9 inches for it. All right, so I'll go ahead and put my elastic inside it, then stitch on our dress. So this is the elastic, which is 7 inches. I'm passing it through this casing I've made already. I made a casing. Okay, so I'm passing it through the casing. So I'll go ahead now and stitch on this side, then draw it out from the other end and attach it to the other part of the dress. So after attaching my elastic, I'll go ahead and cut out my flap, the pleats that are going to be on the side of my gown. All right, so the volume of the pleats that is going to, the ruffles that is going to be at the side of my gown is going to be, I'm going to measure from my waist measurements, from my waistline to the end. Whatever I have, I times it by 2. That's how I cut it. So whatever you have, you times it by 2. That will give you the volume of material you'll be working with. So I have a yard plus 22 inches. I'm sorry, 2 yards plus 22 inches. That's what I'm working with. And the boldness or the width, I used 7 inches. So I went ahead and folded it or hemmed the bottom part. Then the same thing I did for the side, two edges, I folded them. So now I'm going to be attaching it to my gown. So now I'm going to place it here. Then I'm going to be making little pleats. All right, now the pleats you're going to be making, if I should place this here now and I want to make a pleat, this one, so the next pleats I'm going to be making, I'm going to make sure that enough part of this fabric enter inside here so that it will come out, the ruffles effects will come out very well. Okay, so that's what I'm going to go ahead to do on my sewing machine now.